Good morning, everyone. Hello and welcome to this New Year's Eve 2024 episode of the Podcast Stable. I am Tech P, also known by some as Jeff or Jeffrey or a few other names. And we are joined by, take it away, Jerome.
No.
Uh-oh, we lose Jerome? All right, Cameron, you jump in.
Hold on. Welcome. Glad to be back for another podcast stable. My name is Cam. If you've been keeping up, you know what I stand for. So we here.
Indeed. While Nixon is having Jerome is having some technical difficulties, why don't you drop and rejoin Jerome, and we'll keep the space warm and cozy to see if your audio can work. We can't hear you. So drop, cut, leave. There he is. He's gone. And while that's happening, I'm going to make myself a spritzer. Topo Chico. Yeah. What was that again?
So it's spritzing it up. What you got in your spritzer?
Martinelli's apple juice. Let's see here. Looks like we have someone that's down here. Oh, Nixon's not back just yet. Yeah, Martinelli's apple juice. A little bit of spritzer this morning on this New Year's Eve 2024. How are you feeling this morning, Cameron?
Very relaxed. Seeing everybody cry last night, puts me in a perspective of indifference.
Hey, I can hear now.
Nice.
All right, we can hear you.
Perfect, Jerome. Would you like to introduce yourself to those out there watching this episode of the Podcast Stable?
My name is Jerome. I'm very happy that the Cowboys won last night, and I think the Miami thing was just a fluke, and penalties really didn't help us a lot.
Okay, I just so you know, I just made myself a spritzer. I know how much you love these. You're not home today, so
Yeah.
I'm having one for you, and then I'm going to be listening, but I'm going to go finish making Cruz's water. But let's get kicked off. We're 3 minutes in. We're on the eve of 2024, and the Cowboys played last night. So let's jump in and start right there on a big time W. And also, Jimmy Johnson going into the Ring of Honor.
Who?
What?
Who is Jimmy Johnson?
The guy who coached the Cowboys in 1992 and 1993 to consecutive Super Bowls. That guy. After, and then him and Jerry had a little feud. Not involved. Jerry wants to be with things, and Jimmy wasn't really trying to have that. He really kind of felt like he was out of place.
How many goals did he give us?
He got 2, and then he got fired the year before they won the last one.
No. So let's make it accurate. Jimmy Johnson joined us, the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, as we were at the completion of a season where I believe we won only one game. We were the most terrible team in all of the NFL. And Jimmy Johnson came here from the University of Miami, where he was a champion. He had Coach Michael Irvin there, and he came here, drafted Troy, drafted Michael, he and Jerry together, drafted Emmett, made one of the, if you go and Google Herschel Walker, what you'll find is a story of how Jimmy Johnson traded Herschel Walker to the Vikings, I believe it was. and got back all these draft picks that would allow us to go on and draft guys like Darren Woodson and, just build out this roster that produced 3 championships. So Jimmy and Jerry got into some type of conflict, and Jimmy left after the second championship in '93. We didn't win in '94. Barry Switzer came, and then we turned around and won in '95. But Jimmy put that team together, and for all these years, he hasn't been properly recognized inside of the Ring of Honor there in now what's called AT&T Stadium. And last night, Jerry made that right and brought in Jimmy. So salute to Jimmy. Go ahead.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, he was there last night.
Oh, he was? Okay.
If you saw him, you would know him because he's on the pregame for Fox NFL Sunday.
Yeah, you probably just never knew who he was.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
So, yeah,
Wait,
so go ahead. Go for it, Ken.
I was going to say, Jimmy Johnson, we have a similar way of thinking. I do the same thing as soon as I take over a franchise. Trade the best player and get picks. We gotta do this my way. So much respect to what he did in his career, and respect it rightfully so.
We're gonna see what you have to say about that when we get to talking about Russ here in a moment, Russ and Sean Payton. Okay. But before we jump into that, let's talk about this Dallas Cowboy victory.
So you said they got a touchdown or 2 field goals, and then mixed.
Who?
The Lions. Did they get a touchdown and they missed the extra point, or did they get 2 field goals?
They went for 2 points at the end.
Oh.
So let's go ahead and start there since he brought it up. The whole 2-point conversion. There's been a lot of outpour and outrage online, on the internet, whatever you want to call it. Everybody's saying, "Oh, this guy actually reported the referee is lying, this, that, and the other." It happens. Like even if it's the referee's mistake, there's a tripping play they call on our tight end, but it was the other team tripping, and then that gave us, we couldn't even get into the range to score, and that changes the whole game. We might have been up even more. So I mean, there's so many different factors to where even if any of y'all's theories are right, that the ref messed up or he lied, anything like that, there's a million other games and a million other times. And if the roles were reversed and it was the Dallas Cowboys who have suffered that, because that's happened this season. See Philadelphia. See the Bills game when they call a roughing the passer on Josh Allen who flops. Those things happen. But if it was us, they would agree with me. But since it's not us and it's us winning, it's this referee made a huge mistake. This is fishy, blah, 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 script. That's loser talk.
This is what I have to say to all of those people. And it goes back to Jimmy Johnson. Today, this weekend, Jimmy's been waiting on this. This is Jimmy's time. And what Jimmy said was thank you to all of the Dallas Cowboy fans. And then he also said thank you to all the millions of Dallas Cowboy haters and such, so to speak. He didn't use that word, but he said for all of those people who despise the Dallas Cowboys, we love you as well. And the reason why I bring that up is because every weekend, as soon as the Dallas Cowboys lose, they all come out. They all have something to say. Guess what? Keep talking. Keep talking. I don't know if you do it for clicks. I don't know if you do it because you just have something in your heart that allows for you to spew these negative, low-frequency things. Whatever it is, if it feels good for you, keep doing it. But understand this. And my oldest son, Cameron, said to me yesterday, he said, you told me at one point that there was, what did you say? You said it was 2 things. What did you say? I told you.
Oh, one of the best lines he's ever told me. There's only 2 good feelings in this world: love or indifference. And this is the part I didn't tell you, but you did tell me this as well. If you hate something, that's just another form of love. You're really in love with it.
That sounds like something I would have said. And so to those that applies to the Dallas Cowboys haters. You really just love us. And we love you right back. Mwah. We're gonna take that W from last night. We understand that the officiating, like you guys always say, it doesn't just come down to one call. You should have not put yourself in a position to where it was just one call. Well, I'll tell you what. Dan Campbell in the coaching staff of the Detroit Lions, they had 3 different tries to tie the ball game and send it into overtime. And the geniuses did exactly what they wanted to do, even though they were gifted that position. And it failed. We walked away victorious, and it shouldn't have not even been that close because Hutchinson was the one that was tripping. It wasn't whoever this guy was that I didn't even
Hendershot. He said
realize.
he never heard of him.
Who is this guy? What was his name?
Hendershot. Who was in there?
I was curious. Who is this guy? Hendershot. Hold on, somebody's hitting me up. They want to join. They want to join the podcast stable.
Oh,
That'd be perfect. I gotta go in a couple minutes.
Yeah. So Jerome, tell us how you're feeling. I know you got to go. Jerome has a big event planned at, I believe it's the largest jump park in the world, is what I've been told.
Yeah.
They're going to be going to. So give us your MVP.
My MVP is either gonna be Dak or Tyreek.
Dak or Tyreek. Okay. All right. And would you care to elaborate or expound upon that?
Dak, he's done excellent this year. We've had multiple 40-point games. We've had wins over 500 teams or teams above 500, no matter what anyone says. And I mean, we just proved that tonight by beating an 11-4 team, and now we're gonna.
You know what other 2 things you should add, Jerome? You should also add that in those 40-point games, Dak doesn't play the 4th quarter. He sits out. He doesn't stat pad. So all of these stats are legit. And we are the only team in the NFL to not lose a home game.
Yep. 11 games at home and 11 wins at home.
Well,
and then Tyreek, he's the fastest player in the NFL. If you have him on your team, you're basically going to win. And Patrick Mahomes proved that because he sucks without him this year.
Uh-oh. Shots fired. I wish I had one of those cannon things. Boom, 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 boom. Cannon. You said Patrick Mahomes stinking it up this year, huh?
Yep.
I'll drink some spritzer to that.
Yep.
Ooh, that boy stinking.
Well, what I'll say about Patrick Mahomes is he's a Texas kid, so we'll cut him a little bit of slack. He's got 2 championships. He's okay to have a little bit of a rough patch. He kind of jumped into a bunch of success, and now with that big contract and the loss of some assets, he's going to be having to figure it out. And so let's jump into young Cam. What's your take on the MVP discussion?
I got 4 MVPs right now. Got 4, and I got Dak Prescott, everything that Nixon said and what I added to it. And when you watch the games, it's not because I'm not personally a stat guy. Some of my favorite players in all of the other sports in this sport are not stat guys. They pass the eye test. When I watch the games, they're making the correct decisions. It's not just the numbers, it's the context. And the context of Dak Prescott's season is he's been the most valuable player for the Dallas Cowboys. And they're one of the top teams in the NFL. And if you watch the games, even the only game that was a blowout is San Fran's. to me, the Buffalo game is not even a blowout. It's us beating ourselves.
You calling me?
It's not like somebody else beat us. So with that being said, every team in the NFL has a game like that where they got absolutely beat. The 49ers got a game where they've been beat. The
Hold
Ravens
on
got
just
a
a second.
game where they've been beat.
Jerome, mute if you're gonna be moving around, please, sir. Mute your mic.
Oh yeah, I gotta leave.
Are you
All
out of
right.
here?
Yeah, bye.
Sayonara. But yeah. So just the context of that season, the throws that he's made, Aaron Rodgers esque. I mean,
Aaron Rodgers even said Aaron Rodgers is.
basically, he came on TV to tell you that he liked the quarterback. Is because if you watch Dak Prescott, it's like watching the light skinned Aaron Rodgers. It really is right now, and it's beautiful to see. So he's one of them. Tyreek is another because he's absolute game breaker. Now, right now, I would put him outside of my top three at number 4, just because a lot of it was going behind breaking the record. So because he missed a game and because he's slightly behind, he has the Ravens defense coming up. My projection is that it's going to be hard for him to break that record. And I don't know if the Dolphins finish as a team with the home seed. I think for MVP, you got to at least be playing your first game at home. And that's another thing against Dak Prescott too. We need the Eagles to lose to the Giants, or I don't know, the Cardinals, I think. So yeah, it's going to be a tough ask. But the other two, I got CMC. I mean, one of the best teams in the NFL, the 49ers, and you know, his first like whole season playing with a team that's not the Panthers, and they're great. And you got to give a player some credit for that because you know he hasn't been injured. He's been there, and they've been a pretty dominant team in some spurts of the season. And then lastly, I'm going to go with the maybe the best quarterback in the NFL, Lamar Jackson. Stats are not there, but what I said earlier is context. The context of what Lamar Jackson has been doing after holding out to get his contract to say I'm worth more than what you're treating me, and to come back this season and have his team as the best team in the NFL on both sides. It speaks for itself. I mean, we don't even talk about the contract anymore because everybody would take one side. That Lamar should have been paid. And the Falcons, you made a mistake. All those other teams that came out and said that you didn't want this guy on your team, that's the most valuable player.
Yeah, where you finished is where I'll
Yeah,
start.
yeah.
Yeah, one moment here. Looks like Guatemala's on. Hold on, real quick. Let's
What?
add Guatemala. Let's add Guate to the stage. What's going down, sir?
What's going on, brother? Good morning to you players.
Hey man, welcome to the podcast stable.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Hey
I
man, we
couldn't
just
get on
getting
at first.
started.
I'm like, what'd you say?
I said we just getting started, man.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
I've been up all morning cleaning and getting stuff in order as well.
Are the Bears playing today, or are the people in Chicago finished watching the Bears for the year already?
I've been finished for about 4 or 5 years now.
Oh man. So you still watching the NFL, or you
Oh,
done
of
with
course. Of course.
it? Okay.
You know,
Okay. So who's your MVP? We talking MVP right now. Who's your MVP this year?
MVP. They don't want to give it to Lamar Jackson, but he's putting in some work.
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to give it to old Brock. It seems like.
Brock.
That's Purdy.
That's what it seems like. The people want to go with, you know, but I'm looking
I'll tell
more
you
so
what.
like
New hope.
No,
The
no,
new
I'm not
hope.
giving it to Brock. I'm not giving it to Brock. I'll go with Lamar. I'll go with Lamar as my favorite to win, my choice to win the game. If I was going to go with a 49er, it would have to be Christian McCaffrey.
yeah.
I'll tell you that the hardest job in the league, I believe, is to be America's quarterback, the quarterback of America's team. Hey,
Hey,
that's what
th-
I'll say.
it's kind of hard on Dakota.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard on Dak, and he's making it look easy. Those balls that are just falling in to Cooks. Oh man, I mean, just
Off too.
just oh man, just multiple balls that are just perfectly placed. You know, Dakota's having that is having a fantastic go at it.
Yeah,
You know, to do what we're doing, to have our linebackers and Diggs out.
out. Yeah.
I think the Cowboys have done a decent job, and Dakota is a large reason why.
Oh yeah,
They've been
he's
in
a
that position.
baller. He's playing some ball. He's playing some ball, and he's definitely that accuracy is crazy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
That
accuracy is crazy.
we want to jump in real quick. You know, we don't make these too long, but let's talk about you were mentioning a moment ago about the sentiment around Lamar, him and his contract situation. If for
Hmm.
those of you out there that may see this, you don't know, Lamar Jackson actually, he and his mother, I believe, negotiated his last contract, and
Hmm.
they went the long route, and they played
Yeah,
hardball, and they went out and got the numbers that Lamar felt like he deserved without the traditional agent. And then
exactly.
that put a lot of people saying a lot of negative things. I loved it. I'm all
Hmm.
for empowering others to go out and you know, you don't need anyone to tell you how much you're worth. And now we see what's happening with Russell Wilson
Hmm.
in the Denver Broncos.
Exactly.
You know, so we cannot. You know, what else? I asked the question to you guys. You saw what happened and what people said about Lamar. What do you think about what people are saying about what's going on with Russ right now?
Well, what are
I
they
think.
saying?
Well, I saw a few different takes. I see Randy Moss is saying you guys are playing around with that man's money, and if I'm a free agent, I'm calling my agent and I'm saying do not return phone calls from the Denver Broncos. They're playing with Russ's money, and we're not gonna get into business with people who do that. I saw Alex Smith, who said, "Hey, I underperformed on my first contract as a number one pick out of where was Alex Smith out of Utah, I believe."
I believe so.
Yeah. And so when the 49ers came to me, I went ahead and renegotiated my contract down because I felt like I underperformed. So that's Alex Smith, somewhat alluding to maybe Russ should have considered removing his guaranteed money for 2025 or moving that timeline out so that the Sean Payton regime could continue to evaluate him a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then you had Rex Ryan, who said no player would move that date for that team after he had been treated the way Russ had been treated this year by Sean Payton, publicly berating him on the sideline and press conferences and such. And of course, dangerous Russ
Like
Wilson
that.
himself, he comes out and says, currently my numbers are the same as Pat Mahomes.
With the stats, yeah.
Yeah, and so they finished off with someone is going to get an amazing quarterback next year in Russell Wilson. So
Oh yeah.
I want to get you guys' take on what you think about the situation, and also where's Russ going to end up?
Mm. Mm. That's a tough one.
Cam, what you got?
So my take on the situation is like Sean Payton. You know, I respect that you went and got a Super Bowl and you went to the Super Bowl, but like outside of that, you know, what was your coaching career like really consisted of? Like, were you the driving force like that, or was it your quarterback? Because if it was your quarterback and Drew Brees, then you need to find a way to empower your next quarterback. And it would be a different situation if it was Russell Wilson from last season that wasn't performing well, where the Broncos just paid him and they had a terrible season. But this season, he goes on a 5-game winning streak. Y'all are still in contention for the division because Kansas City hasn't clinched it yet. They keep losing. And you take your team's best chance to win those games out. I just don't understand that. So as a player on that roster, you're saying my season's over. We can't go out and compete with it with the best player that, at that position that we have. I mean, I'm sorry, but there's no way that anybody in that locker room believes Jared Stidham is better than Russell Wilson. Like,
Exactly.
at no point. So, like, figure it out. I understand that you didn't bring Russell Wilson in, but it's not just you. And there's a lot of people involved. And for somebody with that kind of pedigree, Russell Wilson, who's went to more Super Bowls than you and had really more success than you, in my eyes, in the league as a quarterback, Russell Wilson was top 3, top 5 for a good stretch. And you treat him in that way, I just don't think it's warranted. And I think that Rex Ryan is right. A lot of players that are free agents or even on the team right now are going to be looking at that and saying, you got to overpay me to come because
Exactly.
I don't want to deal with
I
that.
won't be there.
I don't want to do it.
Yeah. Now those days, not just in football, but just in general, to where a man can mistreat another man just because he has some type of power or influence, and people watch it and don't put that
Address
person in. Those days are coming to an end. I'm actually doing my part. You guys know that those days are coming to an end. Sean Payton, don't. We can go back and we can look in the background, and you were a part of the regime that was paying to hurt people, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sean, you were Bounty Gate.
Exactly.
And so, you got a mulligan, and, people overlook that or whatever the case is. But Cameron is right. You had one quarterback from Texas by way of Purdue that's all the quarterback you had that success with. And then after that,
pew.
And not only Deflategate, but then you tried to sneak out the back door of your team and go team up with Tom Brady in Miami. Some type of collusion deal. And then you go on Fox and you smile with Colin Cowherd and joke all year, and everybody seems to forget about it, and then come back and act like you're the guy.
Hey, show it to me. You got Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson is going to show you. He showed you this year. He showed you the class in his response and saying, you know what? I'm going to be the best coach Jared Stidham could ever have. I'm gonna show you who I am by responding to bias in this way. I'm gonna show you my character and my integrity. Russ is winning his next locker room right now.
Oh yeah.
Right now, Russ is walking into the next locker room, and the players are saying, "That's my guy. That's my guy." So where does he go? That's the question. I want to know, where does Russ go?
I got some ideas. I think he could take a couple of different routes that have each its pros and cons. I think, if you look at the Steelers, they've been a quarterback away for a minute. They got everything. They really just need a quarterback to lead them. Mike Tomlin, he can win without a quarterback. So imagine if you could add yourself to that, Russell, to a legendary franchise and make some type of noise again. And the con of that is the division. It's going to be hard every year. You got Lamar Jackson, Joey Burrow, and potentially Deshaun Watson if he can return to form. And that team, look, they don't need a quarterback either. So they're really good too. So very tough division. I would say the other option, because I'm not going to say the Patriots. I'm not going to say Washington. Don't go there. But I would say consider Atlanta. That division is very weak. They're young. They need that type of guidance. If you could take that young group of guys, because they got a lot of young talented players, they just don't have a quarterback or a coach. So he could fill in one of those holes over there, and probably a home playoff game for the next 2 years.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
Yep.
say. Atlanta, definitely.
All right. So you also have Tampa Bay.
No, I think they need
Baker
to
Mayfield is playing kind of good for them.
really
They
good.
like him.
Yeah. No, he's doing well. He's doing well for sure. But I'm just gonna name them off. We got you guys said Pittsburgh.
I like Pittsburgh.
Atlanta.
I like him and Mike Tomlin together in the culture.
Yeah.
So I think that's a real possibility. You also have who do the Raiders have at
Oh yeah, the
quarterback?
Raiders is another option. That's
Yeah.
a good one because they got all they got is Jimmy G. So you can go over there and play with probably still the best receiver, maybe
Receiver. Yeah.
like arguably if he had a
Exactly.
quarterback. So
Yeah,
hey, it's
I
Josh
got
Jacobs.
another one for you. Got another one for you. Tennessee.
Not right now.
Yeah, Tennessee. But what I'm saying is they got a decent team and hadn't been able to figure it out at quarterback.
Yeah, but I don't. You drafted two quarterbacks in a row after giving Ryan Tannehill money. Like you just need to bite the bullet on that and figure out if one of the two quarterbacks on your roster is good. Because even then, Russ is not going to go there and guarantee win that division. I think the AFC South is becoming more and more competitive. You know, the Houston Texans have been on the rise. The Jacksonville Jaguars, they got a Super Bowl winning head coach. And who's the other team in that division? The Colts. They just got a young, potentially superstar rookie quarterback in Richardson. We'll see if he can stay healthy. But that team has been in contention all year to make the playoffs without a quarterback. So they're obviously pretty well coached, and they got a nice system and young players there. So
The Vikings.
the Vikings possibly
Yeah.
The
though.
Vikings. And I got
Cousins
one
down.
more I'll add on to the list. I got one more that I'll add on to the list. The San Francisco 49ers.
You said get rid of old Brock.
Is he better than Brock Purdy?
Most definitely.
I think so.
Most definitely.
My thing is though to add. I feel like Russell Wilson still has a market. We've been listening off teams. You haven't said a team that shouldn't take him so far. And I think that his number would be too much for the 49ers to keep the whole team intact. So I think that's the reason why they wouldn't go get Russell Wilson over a Brock Purdy, who is still in that contract and has shown to still get them at least 13 wins as long as everybody else is healthy, as long as he has those superstars around him. So
On the phone.
I
Uh-huh.
I agree with that. I just had to throw that out there because it does take away one of their advantages in that they're paying Brock Purdy $300,000 a year. But that's the reason why they can consider it, because they are paying Brock Purdy $300,000 a year. And Russell Wilson, if he looks at this and says, all right, well, do I want to take less money to go jump into a vehicle that's already a whip?
Mm-hmm.
This deal, I mean, the 49ers, that's almost like asking him to come join the Dallas Cowboys, but it's the 49ers.
Yeah.
So something to consider. And notice one thing I did not say, and that was America's team, because Dakota's there. We don't have a need. We don't have a need to talk about that. But the 49ers, this whole Brock Purdy and the MVP conversation, that's fool's gold.
well,
Exactly.
I agree with that. I agree with that for sure. He
That's
definitely
fool's
should have never been considered the MVP, and I feel like that has made people think that at least I bash him. I don't bash Brock Purdy. I think it's very impressive what he does. Getting paid that much. I know you have a superstar team, but he's shown a lot of professionalism in the way that he goes about what he does. but he's definitely not even top 5 players on his team.
Oh,
So for MVP is crazy. It was crazy talk, and that's why people think you think negative about Brock Purdy. I don't think negative about him. It's that you just put him up here, and I just got to bring you back to reality. So,
hey man, I tell you what, like you can have somebody that you pay a driver to come and drive you around. Like, this is my personal driver. You know, I'm getting a certain type of white glove treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can get on a public transportation and get on a bus. Brock Purdy is like having a really good Uber driver. It's not the person that is, you know, showing up with a suit on and a tie that's gonna, you know, be able to take you there, you know, get all of these things, you know, just really knows you, is really servicing just you and deliver. Brock Purdy is when you call an Uber and you have a really good experience, you like, that is, the next time I hit the Uber button, I wish I get that person. That's what Brock Purdy is. That's what he is. And when it comes time to pay him, we're gonna see what they really think about him.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying. I got a friend who's a Brock Purdy closet fan, and I tell him all the time, I'll say, we're gonna see when it's time to pay him what's really gonna happen. Either your team is gonna overpay, or they're gonna tell you exactly what I've been telling you about Brock Purdy this whole time, and go out and draft another Brock Purdy.
Seeing as though the 49ers have a history of not having a problem making tough decisions with what they did with Alex Smith,
Jimmy G,
what they did with Kaepernick, what they did with Jimmy G, what they did with Trey Lance. Yeah, but where is JW? Somebody, Jamal Sheets is saying, where is JW? Where is Jamal Brodin? That's a great question. Somebody tell Jamal Brodin that I said I'm taking his name and I am now called Pick'em. Just call me Pick'em, because he won't show up in a place that was designed for him to just take off. Because when Jamal shows up, the podcast stable's going to blow up, because that dude right there is special. We all know that. So great question. We need to create like a comic. Where is JW? Like Waldo. Where is he?
Where's JW?
Put the JW symbol in the sky like Batman, the bat signal.
Hey, I tell you what, he's got a big game coming up. So let's switch over to that right quick before we jump. We got today a bunch of football games, but tomorrow we have Alabama, Michigan, and we have Washington, and as Jamal likes to say when he's in Tennessee, the real UTs in Austin, the real UT, the Longhorns, the Texas Longhorns. So, what are we thinking? Are we excited about those games? What are our predictions there? And then we can talk about whatever y'all want. I'm gonna be fulfilled after that.
Predictions for that game. I can see it going either way. JJ McCarthy had a very impressive game against Ohio State. I mean, he was throwing some darts out there, but the next week after that, I think against Iowa, maybe they just wanted to switch it up, but it was mostly just dominant run game. They couldn't really throw the ball that well. So against Nick Saban, what we've traditionally seen is a quarterback dot him up. You have to be able to dot him up, anticipate the passes, and, you know, lead your receivers into areas where they can, you know, make something happen. We've seen it with Johnny Manziel. We've seen it with, you know, who beat him in the championship, Deshaun Watson. You know, multiple quarterbacks over the years that have to have special games against Nick Saban to win, or most of the other time they don't win. So JJ McCarthy is going to have to step up in order for that to happen.
Well, UT walked into Tuscaloosa early this year and they beat them at home, and so that was early this season. I don't know that their quarterback had all that special of a game. I'm sure he played well. It doesn't. Not one that I remember was this special performance. I do admire the way Saban has brought the team back and they performed well after an early loss. Now, very questionable about them being in this game over other teams, but they're here. And so I'm going to take Michigan.
Yeah.
Michigan has gone undefeated this season with their coach being sidelined and off the sideline, suspended or whatever you want to call it for 6 games. That team has shown the ability to persevere in a time of tribulation. And so when you have that, then you have a certain type of character that comes along with that. And so I'm looking forward to see what happens here in this game, but I'm taking Michigan on my end. Who you got, Guate?
I'm going with Michigan as well, simply because of the undefeated record, simply because of the issue going on with their coaching staff and how they're continuing to excel. That's my main reason for choosing Michigan. As far as the other game, I'm going to be honest, man, I haven't even really been following too much of the college ball. I was in the beginning of the season, then I took a couple weeks off, and then I got back to it. So I haven't even really been following as I should. So I can't really say too much about the Texas game.
Yeah. The Texas game, I haven't watched Washington that closely, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yesterday, Jamal Sheets is asking a great question, making a great point. Man, yesterday, did you guys see what Georgia did to Florida State?
Yeah.
Oh my God, man! I think they might have had Eastbound. What's that song? Burt Reynolds. Burt Reynolds could have been the quarterback there at Florida State yesterday. They would have scored more points. I mean, I think they got beat 63 to 6. Was that the yeah.
Ultimate thrashing.
Hey, Burt Reynolds. Let me pull it up, man. There's one song that it's called East. Hold on. All right, I'm off of that, but yeah.
Go
ahead.
They a lot of times we like to go back and bash people for not doing the right things and this, that, and the other, but this time we got to give credit to the committee. I first guess this one, Florida State should not be in this game, and I understand they have an undefeated record because I don't know one team they faced this year, to be honest with you, but like they didn't show us with the backup quarterback that they were still that same dominant team that they were earlier in the year. And so it's unfortunate that he got hurt, but we did have an instance in where Ohio State a few years ago had a quarterback who got hurt. I think even the second string got hurt, and Cardell Jones came in with Ezekiel Elliott, and they were still dominant to the end of that season. They led them in the playoffs, and they ended up winning the championship with the third string. Florida State would have never done that, and that's why that's the right decision. Because Georgia is a team that debatably should be in the playoffs. They only lost one game in the last 3 years. So,
well, I think there's a very interesting point that Jamal is making, and we've been seeing this across the college football landscape with all of the players that are saying, you know what, we're not playing in this bowl game. We're going to either go get into the portal and start planning for where we're going next year, or if I'm not going to be going to the draft, if I'm going to the draft, I'm not playing. Like, there were so many players in bowl games that were not taking the field because they were either planning to be at another school next year. I mean, look at Arch Manning. Arch Manning, everybody loves the Manning boys. I'm not a Manning fan. I'll just make it clear. But if you get a Manning, you recruit a Manning, then you win, and that's great for branding. Arch Manning had his first shot at media day this year because he was now promoted to second string quarterback because Texas's backup quarterback hit the transfer portal and is now headed to Duke. Now, Texas is still playing this year now, but Arch Manning is then promoted to now be backup quarterback because Texas's backup quarterback is gone. went into the portal. And so this NIL has made it. Hey, look, Marvin Harrison Jr. He didn't play yesterday.
Mm.
I'm not playing. I'm not playing. So they're basically showing up and saying, hey, look, at this point, if you don't put some monies on the table and some guarantees on the table, then I'm gonna sit over here and be in my sweats with my big chain on.
Exactly.
You know, and so I can't be too mad at them. What's that? He said that NIL equal milk money. A little disappointed, but I understand. Hey, listen, when we talk about milk money, daddy got to have his milk money. Bottom line, daddy got to have his milk money, and when I don't have it, then things are not in a good place. And so I understand that. So this has been a great episode, as you guys know, and you've heard me say this is about getting better with time. Today we had Guate jump in. For those of you that may not know, Gamil and I go way back. We've been locked in. We've stayed locked in. We've remained locked in. And we also have some future plans to do some other fantastic entrepreneurial, equity building, wealth attaining types of things. But this is not the platform to discuss that. This is the platform for us to let our hair down and just have a little fun.
Exactly.
And we're going to be, Cameron is a part of this vision too. We're going to be going out making a little bit more than milk money. We're going to be going out and winning the game. So I'm Jeff. I'm Tech P. You guys say your pleasantries and goodbyes. We'll close this thing down and we'll get into our day.
All right.
I don't got much to say. Signing off. Good talking.
Likewise, I appreciate that. I'm glad to be a part, and I'll be on here a little bit more with a lot more to say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right, y'all. Peace.
All right. Peace.
Peace.